your place for quick summaries of movies with jaw-dropping twists. Let's dive in. Our story begins with a bus full of criminals heading to the most dangerous prison in the world. After the guards got the prisoners off, they started calling their names to search them until it was Ricky O's turn. Ricky, a 21-year-old young man, was wrongfully imprisoned, but strangely, the metal detector showed he had weapons. Ricky then told the guards that these were bullet fragments inside his body from someone who had tried to kill him. The guards were astonished that he was still alive. Later, we meet Hang, a thug in the prison who ordered his gang to harass a helpless man named Stick to take all his money. Unfortunately, Stick couldn't defend himself because he was weak. Not only that, but Hang also smashed Stick's wooden toy on his head and humiliated him until he injured his face. The guard didn't arrest Hang because he was taking bribes from him. At this point, Ricky pushed Hang onto nails on the ground and scared his gang because he was brave and fearless. After a short while, we learned that Hang was disfigured, so he started plotting with his gang to take revenge on Ricky and finish him off. He decided to release Shanky from solitary confinement and spoke to a corrupt guard to help him. Shanky is one of the most dangerous criminals in the prison. When the guard opened his cell, we discover that he is enormous. Meanwhile, Stick, the helpless man, was minding his own business, but Hang's corrupt guards took him to an empty place and asked him about Ricky's weaknesses. Stick refused to answer, so the guards beat him to death. At night, all the prisoners learned that Stick had died, but they didn't know who killed him. Ricky, on the other hand, was furious. He went out in the rain to break the handcuffs on Stick's hands because he had died and gave him back his wooden toy. He then vowed to avenge him and get justice from the dogs who killed him treacherously. The next morning, all the prisoners went to shower, including Ricky and Hang. Suddenly, Shanky appeared and attacked Ricky ferociously. Ricky revealed his true strength and defeated him with a single blow. Hang then pulled out a giant nail and tried to kill him, but to no avail, as Ricky easily countered him and destroyed him with one punch as well. The guards arrested Ricky. At this moment, Narumi, the leader of the prison thugs, appeared and praised Ricky for his incredible bravery because he had defeated two of the strongest fighters. But Ricky ignored him, and the guards took him to solitary confinement. After Ricky entered the cell, he felt severe pain from the fight, but he used a secret meditation technique to calm his nerves and remembered the past when he was being trained by Master Sean. Sean, Ricky's uncle, told him, "I will train you in martial arts so you can become strong and defend yourself if you ever get into trouble." Here we learn that Ricky had learned a deadly fighting technique that allowed him to use his inner strength to destroy anything in his path. He became an unbeatable warrior, to the point that Master Shan was amazed by his incredible skills. The next morning, one of the guards took Ricky to meet the prison warden. The warden was a ruthless man with a hook for a left hand. He was astonished by Ricky's strength because he had easily defeated the strongest prisoners, but Ricky ignored him and refused to speak to him. The warden then showed him a picture of his sister, Ying. When Ricky tried to take the picture, the warden stabbed him with a hook and beat him. Ricky lost his temper and smashed the entire table to retrieve his sister's picture. However, he managed to control his anger and refused to kill the warden. At night, Ricky looked at his sister's picture and remembered the old days when he used to play with her in the fields. He also started playing the flute, but the guards shouted at him to stop. The next day, a group of prisoners cornered a spy who had been leaking their secrets to the guards and were about to kill him. Suddenly, Narumi appeared. Narumi, the strongest person in the prison, told them to leave the spy alone, or he would take them all down. Here we learn that Narumi works with the warden because he secretly meets with him. The warden told Narumi to get rid of Ricky by any means necessary because the prisoners liked him and listened to him. He then gave him a sharp knife. Narumi killed one of the prisoners and hung him in the prison yard to draw Ricky's attention. When Ricky arrived to confront him, Narumi told him it was time for him to die. Although Narumi was bigger than Ricky and dominated him at the beginning of the fight, Ricky refused to give up and returned to the fight. The treacherous Narumi stabbed him with the knife and threw broken glass into his eyes. Ricky, unable to see, fell to the ground, but by chance he found a water pipe cover and smashed it with his hand to distract Narumi and wash the glass out of his eyes. The prisoners were overjoyed when Ricky regained consciousness and cheered him on. Ricky gathered his strength and defeated Narumi with a single blow. He then lowered the dead prisoner to the ground. At this point, all the prisoners lost their temper and attacked the warden, but they were stopped by three unbeatable fighters. These three were called the Falcon Gang, and their mission was to protect the warden at all costs. Ricky stopped fighting and went to bury the deceased prisoner because if he continued the battle, innocent prisoners would die. The next day, the son of the deceased prisoner was playing music on tree leaves. Ricky appeared and tried to console him because his father had passed away, but the boy felt sad when he remembered what had happened. Ricky didn't leave him alone, giving him his flute to play and ease his sorrow. Here we learn that one of the Falcon Gang members was watching every everything that happened and reported it to his comrades. Later, the three of them waited for the boy in his cell and killed him in cold blood without anyone seeing them. At night, the prisoners found the boy's body lying on the ground and didn't know who had killed him. By chance, Ricky saw him with his flute and felt a new wave of sadness. He vowed to avenge his death. Meanwhile, the warden was furious and told his men that they had angered Ricky and they would all be doomed if he found out they were responsible. Here we discover that Ricky started a huge fire in the prison yard to confront the Falcon gang head-on. Indeed, the gang leader appeared and told Ricky that he would finish him off because he had caused too much trouble. He then used a secret kung fu technique to paralyze Ricky completely. Ricky was shocked because it was the first time he had fought someone this strong. He remembered when his master told him never to give up, so he gathered his strength again and stood up with difficulty. The treacherous gang leader called his men, including a fighter who used iron needles that completely destroyed Ricky's body, and another massive fighter who pinned Ricky down to finish him off in an iron cell. Here we learn that the warden started filling the cell with cement to kill Ricky, but Ricky broke the cell door and saved the massive fighter from death. Meanwhile, the warden felt great joy because Ricky had passed out from exhaustion and ordered the guards to tie him up because the prison chief was coming soon and everything needed to be in order. The next day, the warden waited with the guards at the prison gate, but the chief was late and they all fell asleep. And after long hours, the president finally arrived with his mischievous son. The warden greeted him and welcomed him with a new sense of fear. Here we learn that the president is evil and arrogant because he killed one of the prisoners, thinking he had knocked his son to the ground. When the warden and the president sat down to talk, the warden informed the prison president that Ricky had burned his garden. The president was shocked and suffered a heart attack, but the warden managed to save him by giving him medication at the last moment. After that, the two went to meet Ricky, who was covered in cement and locked in an iron cell. As soon as Ricky saw the prison president, he broke his chains at lightning speed and grabbed him by the neck to finish him off. But suddenly, the giant fighter appeared again and told Ricky that the time had come to prove he was stronger than him. At first, the giant fighter brutally attacked Ricky and used iron rods to tie his hands, but Ricky returned with determination because he had to achieve his revenge. He then freed his hands and defeated the giant fighter with a single blow. The prison president's son was terrified of what Ricky had done. At this point, the warden and the president revealed their true plan and dropped a 2-ton iron wall on Ricky to completely finish him off. Of course, Ricky pushed the iron wall with all his strength, but it was futile. The bigger disaster was when the prison president attacked him with an electric shock, knocking him unconscious. Fortunately, the giant fighter rose again and saved Ricky because he was the only one who had managed to defeat him. As soon as Ricky regained consciousness, he saw a picture of the giant fighter with his mother and called the warden and president ruthless animals, but they tricked him with a secret trap and locked him up in seconds. The next day, the prison president placed Ricky in a large pit and gathered the prisoners in the yard. He then ordered them to bury Ricky, but when they refused, he commanded the guards to kill them in cold blood. In the end, the prisoners were forced to comply. As they were burying Ricky, they asked him to endure the torture because the prison president planned to bury him underground for an entire week. The warden was present and placed a wooden pipe for Ricky to breathe through during this time. At night, the prisoners heard Ricky playing the flute and realized he was still alive. But suddenly, the leader of the Falcon gang appeared and blocked the air tube Ricky was breathing through to kill him. However, it was in vain because Ricky used a kung fu breathing technique that allowed him to hold his breath for long periods. He also began to recall his painful past. Here we learn that Ricky's sister accidentally witnessed a gang of drug dealers, so they kidnapped her to prevent her from reporting them to the police. When she tried to escape, she fell from a tall building. When Ricky saw her body in the hospital, he couldn't bear it and went to take revenge on the gang leader who had kidnapped her. Despite being shot 5 times in the chest, he managed to kill him and achieve his revenge. This is why he was unjustly imprisoned. After a long time, the week finally ended, and the president ordered the guards to bring Ricky out from underground. However, he was shocked and couldn't believe his eyes when he realized Ricky was still alive. All the prisoners felt immense joy, but suddenly, the leader of the Falcon gang appeared and exploited Ricky's weakness to attack him and knock him unconscious. After that, the prison president took Ricky and placed him among iron spikes to immobilize him. However, he refused to kill him and offered him a deal to become one of his followers, promising to give him everything he wanted. Ricky refused the offer because the president was his sworn enemy. The leader of the Falcon gang then took a set of sharp blades and placed them in Ricky's mouth to disfigure his face. But Ricky endured the pain and spat the blades back at the prison president's face. As a result, the president ordered the guards to lock Ricky up without food until he died of starvation. While Ricky was in the cell, a kind-hearted prisoner sneaked in and gave him some food to keep him alive. Ricky thanked him and promised to rise again. However, a traitorous man informed the prison warden, and the two killed the kind-hearted prisoner. They then went to torture Ricky. At this point, the warden was surprised to find Ricky missing. When he entered the cell, it was revealed that it had been a trick, and Ricky had killed the traitorous man. Not only that, but Ricky also took the warden hostage to threaten the guards and escape. Ricky's plan was successful, and when the warden tried to save himself, all the prisoners surrounded him and took their revenge because he had tortured them for many years. Even Ricky joined the fight and personally took down the guards. Meanwhile, the prison president was in the kitchen with his son and his remaining followers. But they were shocked when Ricky arrived with a large group of prisoners. At first, the president grabbed his gun and fired an explosive shot that destroyed the place entirely. He then ordered the Falcon Gang to finish off Ricky and sat down to smoke a cigarette. Unfortunately, the Falcon Gang took advantage of the prisoners' weakness and began killing them one by one. Ricky asked his prisoner friends to withdraw from the battle because they were weak and would die. The leader of the Falcon Gang exploited Ricky's distraction and attacked him. In addition, Ricky's friend, the one with the sharp tombstone, severely injured him and kept pressing him until he lured him into a tank filled with boiling water and drowned Ricky in it. Here we learn that this was Ricky's plan all along. He tricked the gang leader and placed his leg in the boiling water. When the prison president saw what had happened, he felt intense anger and ordered his assistant to remove his son from the area. Ricky seized the opportunity and struck the president with all his might, but the president rose again. At this point, it was revealed that the president was a skilled kung fu master and knew a secret fighting technique that turned him into an unstoppable beast. Of course, Ricky couldn't believe his eyes and fought with all his might, but he couldn't affect his opponent. He waited for the right moment and lured the president into the kitchen's meat grinder, completely destroying him. After Ricky's victory, all the prisoners realized that the tyrannical prison president was finally dead. Ricky then demonstrated his true strength by breaking the prison walls and walking out alone, receiving a grand salute from all the prisoners. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.